Let's take a
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Danielle. I'll be your host as we discuss Pillars of Light Stories of Goddess Activations. Today we have a very special guest with us, Alanna Starr. She's a co author in Pillars of Light Goddess Activations. And I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to actually read your chapter, Alanna, prior
Yay.
to meeting with you today. And I have to say, it was absolutely amazing. It was pretty deep, and I actually really resonated with it. So I'm excited to dive into that. But before we do, could you tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Danielle. It's a delight to connect with you again. And I'm really happy you read my chapter because I know we had done an interview before and it was a little different because I hadn't really decided what it was going to be about in relation to my session and the goddess I chose. But I'm really happy to be here and to share more about myself. So I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and I really, I mean, I when someone asks me who I am or what I do, it's like, well, I'm this. I do feel like I'm this cosmic being, but in my chapter, I do say that I've been called the midwife of the new paradigm because I feel like I'm helping to usher in that the goddess in my own way, and and I think that that in itself is a job, which I would say is the job of being a mother, right?
Yes.
Right now, I am a mother. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I also do other things in the meantime. I am just starting to be a caretaker for my family, so I'm also, do healing work. Every now and then I do music events where I share sound healing or sacred music. I haven't done as much since having a baby, so I don't feel as confident in saying I do this, I do that, but I feel in general I'm a healer, I'm a light worker, I'm an entrepreneur, a soulpreneur. um, yeah, so my bio will be down below so you can read all about it, but I definitely I'm an artist. I make
Mm.
art with dried flowers, and I make wreaths and dried flower jars and do earth magic with that. And I'm a dancer. So I mean, yes, I do a lot of different things, and I am definitely multifaceted.
I'd say so. I think you're magical. I love like
Thank you.
everything about you. It's a beautiful essence of femininity, and that's certainly what to me like goddess represents a strong femininity. So, in your case, what goddess did Radha connect with you through?
I chose the goddess Sophia,
Mhm.
and yes, that's who I chose.
Such a beautiful goddess. Could you tell our viewers just a little bit about her?
Absolutely. Sophia, in my chapter, I mentioned how she is, in Greek, she's considered wisdom.
Okay.
She's cleverness, she's intelligence. I like to consider her, from my research, I find her to be the energy of the Holy Spirit, the feminine aspect of God. Every other goddess has carried her wisdom forward. The Essenes, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, those people, they walked the earth carrying her wisdom, um, the feminine wisdom, and it does relate to the father, right? So the father and the mother, it's a balance of a trinity, and it is, if you've heard of King Solomon,
Mhm.
Solomon's wisdom, he spoke of her, or the wisdom,
Mhm.
and it's also could be considered, there's more. I mean, there's so much more. I call her the mother of all life, all living. She is the feminine. I feel like she's also the feminine aspect that we meet when we do ayahuasca journeys.
Mhm.
There's a feminine, like a mother, grandmother vibe that we call her grandmother, but that comes in, and you could feel this, that you're being nurtured, and it's like, the hand of the mother, the sign, the hand that you
Mhm.
see, that's kind of famous in the Middle East, or very famous, it's the mother's hand.
Mhm.
It could be called the hand of Fatima, the hand of Miriam. There's many different names. She comes in many different names and many archetypes, many faces. Um, but in my study, she's came as the energy behind like Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin. I mean, the list is endless. We could talk about many different ones, and there's many different authors who spoke about her that can share way more than I have. Yes.
Well, you know what's so fitting about it too is like I see you at like that. Like for me in my mind, when the few times that we have spoken, I thought to myself, wow, she's so wise. And the wisdom that you portray. And I just when I hear you speak, I just want to listen because you have
Thank you so
quite a
much.
lot to say and I could feel it. But you
I'm about to
I
jump out of the screen.
yes, but I can't
You
even get
know,
my words out because I'm excited, like anticipating what you're about to say.
yeah, it's because
Mhm.
as much as I think that I've always been doing this kind of work, right? Like I've never really felt like I was ready to come forward.
Mm,
You could see my old videos on YouTube. You could tell that I'm very, um, I'm obviously very nervous on camera in a sense. Like I'm there. I don't think it was time for me yet. And I do feel like in my chapter, I also talk about how it's like a timer went off, and the
mm,
offering was like a call to action for me, like, okay, enough is enough, now's the time. And that's exactly what Sophia brought through Rada in my session. Really was that you are here to speak. You are an embodiment of me, just like you think you are that.
right.
And you are enough, and you are able to share like everything you've been through. Like it's okay. Like she offers us that resurrection, that redemption, our soul to advance and heal and transcend and transmute, that inner alchemy to become the ascended master while we are alive on this earth. And I think that that is what I really am trying to embody now, and just accept that that's what I want to do. And if I didn't do
Mm,
that, I would be living a lie.
yeah. Well, thank you for stepping forward. I can feel it. Now, the interesting thing about that, though, is a lot of people would think, "Oh, goddess activations. This might be a little fluffy," or
Mm,
they think it's something sweet and cute, but it is sweet, it is
mm,
fluffy, and that's okay. But what people don't realize is the level of intensity that we go through in these sessions. And you can have an energetic divorce, go through some persecution wounds. I mean, there's a lot of deep
mm.
depth things that Rada walks you through. Could you share with the viewers maybe what you might have experienced or what they could potentially experience in their session?
Absolutely. So I mentioned in my chapter that Rada and we go back a while. Like we've gone back probably like 7 years now. We've had a show called Deprogram together, which we are bringing back excitingly.
Oh,
Spoiler alert. Yes. So I, the reason why I say that is because I knew that Rada was a grand healer. Like I already knew she was amazing, but I had personally not experienced her. And I was like blown away because she was able to, I feel like she really did channel Sophia for me, and what they pulled off, because I've done a lot of healing work throughout my life. And you can tell that it's still there sometimes. It's like, but it's still there a little bit. I can still feel it. And then also it can come back when when you're not practicing your, I feel like COVID, the pandemic really, it really put me on a hold. My
mm,
spirituality, it really set me back from the things that I was doing before it hit, right? So
yeah,
she brought me back to that space. She pulled off soul attachments from
wow,
previous lifetimes that have been attached to me and following me, because obviously of who I am and who we are. That's why a lot of us women, we come from a long line of trauma, pain, and those traumas is what creates the attachments to come onto us. And she removed like black goo from, my top of my crown was still kind of covered. It was almost like a helmet
oh wow,
covering that. And after she removed that, we did like a few prayers during the session, um, and to command my space, to command my sovereignty. And I mean, this is all things that like you think that I would know and remember because I talk about them a lot, but at the end of the day, there's still something there. And so she did remove a lot of still lingering attachments that were in there. And I felt like I felt the tingling come in through my crown. My body was very tingling. I even saw like the word pearlescent came into my mind. It was
Oh,
very
wow.
luminescent, pearlescent. I even had to look up that word. I'm like, that is a word, right? Because I used the word in my chapter. And yeah, it's so a lot of it's like allowing what's coming through. First of all, what Sophia told her was to tell me was you need to trust yourself and what comes to you. And
Mm,
that way now you know for sure that when, because you want to channel me, you want to be that channel. And so you still doubt. It was doubt and confusion that was still instilled in me from things that have happened to me, that were personal, that were done purposely almost. I mean, first of all, we have things that happen cosmically for us to grow
mhm,
and expand. I believe that they happen. And when we can get out of the victim mindset, we become powerful, right? But there's
right.
also those entities and beings who target people that are here to do that work. And
Mhm.
so I had a lot of that done to me,
Wow.
and still was kind of like embedded in me still. And so we pulled some of that out, and I was able to really realize that if I want to be her channel, then I have to trust what's coming to me. And so we removed that doubt and confusion, to be able to believe in myself, to that when I do share that I am wise, and that that is my calling. It is literally in my, it's in my whole astrology chart. It's in my human design. It's in every reading that I've ever received from any psychic, any spiritual teacher. They all tell me the same thing. But why am I still blocking myself? So I
Mm.
feel like this session really helped me get that blockage off of me to be able to fully use my voice in the name of Sophia.
Oh, I love it. And it's so great too, because you speak with such clarity and but even prior, I'm sure. And so now it's with that, you
Before I
know,
still had the doubt in my mind a little bit, even when
yeah.
I was talking, but now I really feel like this is it. I'm not hiding
Wow.
anymore.
Yeah, I love that. It's like
Yeah.
you're ready to like just claim your power, your throne, and just help, help humanity. That's beautiful.
I don't know if you can see my crown, but I can feel
Oh, I can see it. It's really big. It's like
it.
floating right so it doesn't hurt your head.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's beautiful. So when it comes to what others may experience for their goddess activation, could you maybe dive a little bit deeper into you know, the gooey part? Because I think people have this misconception that like, oh, I'm about to be activated as a goddess, but why do I have gooiness and that kind of thing? Like, or even um, entities, for example, you know, they wouldn't think to compare the two. Could you?
No. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, maybe it depends what you believe. See,
Mm,
Rada knows, her spirit knows, and Sophia knows that I understand those concepts.
okay.
So it was very easy for it to come through for me.
Right.
Like, because I study that stuff. I would talk all day about the people, the beings that I can see when somebody has a possession or an
Oh,
attachment
wow.
or something or a curse that's on their family. I mean, it's very, we have to
Yeah.
understand that we've been here for centuries, right? We've been here doing things like, and so, um, yeah, that black goo. So basically, it's like a tar that
Okay.
can be attached to your aura, and
Mm,
that blocks you from receiving the codes that want to come through. It stops you from the light of your soul coming through.
oh gosh.
So, in order
Wow.
for me to really fully receive the light of my soul, I had to remove a lot of that black goo. And so that's what Rada saw. That's what she sees,
Okay.
because Rada has that gift to be able to see. I think they call it clair. I don't know which clair that is to be able to see that way, but yeah, she was able to see that I had that kind of a little bit stuck on my aura. And so, yeah, for someone who wouldn't understand that, I mean, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that
Oh
not
yeah.
everybody understands that, and it's not for everybody, because some people are just here to witness. Some
Mm,
people actually came here to do this work, to help humanity, the ones that have that on them, because people that they don't know that they have those entities, those attachments, and
mm,
they're wandering around sad, depressed,
yeah.
living a life that they really hate. They're not truly being authentic in their own light. And even the people who think they're living their best life, but they're deep in materialism, having everything material, if they're lacking in spirit. I mean, there's so much that we came here for to assist with. And that's why people like us, a lot of the women that I've met along the goddess, journey, of recognizing the divine feminine, is that we've all come from some form of pain. Sometimes it's from like, just in our family or just from relationships, and there's simple things really, right? But they're really complex in a way that it comes for us to awaken to this level,
Yeah.
to be able to realize that, that's what the work is here to be done. The way I think I'm trying to say that in another way is that is what we're here to do.
That's beautiful. So when it comes to individuals that are wanting to have the goddess activation, but they're just wanting to explore, they're just getting started. What do you think that the goddess activations could do for their everyday life as a somebody who has these key codes activated and they're not that familiar with
Sure. So when
this work?
in about like maybe 5 years ago, I well, first of all, I met Radha through a Goddess Gathering Facebook group long ago, and I had been in that group for a while, and somehow we connected, and I still remember the conversation we had. It's crazy, and we just really clicked. And during that time, I had also been asked to do this goddess. It's called the Diosa Project, and it was a project for me to choose a goddess to depict physically in a photography session, right? So I had to, figure out which goddess I wanted to choose. And then I realized how many goddesses there were. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many goddesses. Like you see them in, statues, like you would see Shiva, I'm sorry, Shakti, you'd see Shakti, you'd see, Kuan Yin, or like Tara, Green Tara, and like all these different amazing goddesses, but you never really know their names. Like, you see the arm, the
Mhm.
wings spread out for Isis or Inanna, like, and you never really know who they are. Sekhmet, Bast, the cat one, the felines, but there's so many. And so this project, I had to choose my goddess. So I started learning and researching, and I wrote down a bunch of goddesses, and then I wanted synchronicity, which is something that's big for me. I'm like, if I pick a goddess, there's too many to pick from. I need something that will tell me who I'm supposed to choose. I went through goddess flora and fauna, because harmonia, like because all these goddesses, I love flowers. I work with flowers. So I'm like, oh, I want something floral so I can wear lots of flowers, but what happened was I decided to write a list of all of the goddesses that I can write with my name.
I just got the
And
chills.
oh my God, I had a list like of college rules, line paper, back and front, of how many names I could spell with my name, because Alanna star Shimel, right? Shimel. And so if you just break up my name, Ala, Anna, so superior is Al in one language. Al, Anna is grace. I'm like, okay, Ala, Anna, so superior grace. My name means fair, dear, beautiful child, harmony, in different languages, rock, noble. It's a weird, a lot of different names, right? And then star, I'm like thinking, wow, stars, who can I relate to? Stara, like Tara, like I'm trying to, like, there's so many different ones. And then I went to my last name, Shim El. So Shim is a powerful word in Hebrew, right? So there's Shim El. I'm thinking like Isis, Elohim. I'm like going through all these different things. And then I actually have a second last name, which my mother gave me, which is Hitan. What's Hitan or Hitan? And I never used it before. I never used it. I'm always wondering, why do I have this second last name on my birth certificate? But my mom wanted me to have it because my dad and her were not married.
Okay.
So she gave it to me, and I decided to take that H and the O and the T and the N, and add it there. And I had got even more. So then I made Harmonia Magdalene for my depiction. So the reason why I'm talking about all of that is to show the synchronicity. And I had a connection, I thought, more so about past lives. And this is when I really started getting into past lives, which Rod is really into as well. So, there's a lot of synchronicities that
Yeah.
that brought me to realize who I could possibly be. I was like, what, maybe I'm like some ancient being and I don't remember who I am. So that's what set me on my journey. I'm just like, I need to know who I am because I feel something. I have these feelings, and I know that we ignore them sometimes because we think we're not that great. We think we're not that powerful as Jesus, or as some other great master who walked the earth before. But that's what Yeshua was teaching us, right? If we believe his work at all, then we would know that he said that we were all children of God, right? That we all are that. And I feel like if we can just really tap into that, if you're going to be seeking out to learn about the goddess, okay, go learn about one, go pick one, or learn a little bit about them, because I think people are scared to learn about them because the Bible says that to not idolize, right? But people are out idolizing celebrities, but you can't
Right.
learn about an ancient goddess who walked the earth and carried the ancient sacred teachings. Like, I just don't
Right.
get why that. It's like people will go get drunk and puke their brains out from alcohol, but they won't do an ayahuasca ceremony
Yeah.
to to go deeper. So I think it's really about where your priorities lay, and are
Mm,
you want to be surface and in just the material realm, or do you want to go
right.
deeper and find out what you're really here to do? That's what I would suggest. I'd suggest you just start learning. And if you're going to have a session with Rada, for this book, we had to know who we wanted first. And that was really powerful because I knew exactly who I wanted. And I know most of the women who did, they knew what they wanted. So if you want a session, you can maybe ask Rada to help you decide who you want to work with. But if you really want to go deeper and get that synchronicity, learn about her and maybe not tell everybody what you've learned, and then have that session and see what comes through.
Right.
You'd be surprised just how powerful it can be.
Yeah. Oh, so beautifully articulated. I love hearing you speak.
Thanks.
So it's interesting because when you were talking about the goddesses, I literally got the chills and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to write down all these names because
Oh, I can
right,
write.
there's
Yeah,
a
no worries.
lot.
I got you.
Oh, thank you. So when it comes to the goddesses and just feeling a shift of their, when you work with the goddesses or a specific goddess, sorry, you're gonna feel the shift within yourself because you tap into that essence during the session. So, what are some of the things that you've noticed going out into the world with this energy of Sophia?
Danielle, that was a beautiful question. I was actually hoping you would ask that
Oh,
because,
good.
um, everything that's happened to me since then, I think also we were in Mercury retrograde, but I noticed that the little girl in me started coming back up again,
Mm,
with just like my self-worth a little bit, and
yeah.
um, what I'm able to create, what I'm able to do. And what I remembered is that like I'm limitless, and that
Mm,
there's so much I can create, and there's no rush. But what came up for me was like remembering that I had this like part of me that needs approval of others, and like I truly needed it. I needed, like, that little girl was like, why don't you love me? Why don't you accept me? What did I do to deserve this? Like this martyr act would come out, this like victim
yeah.
mentality. And so a little bit of that was starting to come up from a couple of people, or one person in particular, that I kind of tend to, I've had issue with in the back and the before. And want them to like, I want them to see me, and I want them to love me. And it's like, but then it's the same thing if you chase something in a relationship, that energy, you chase something, it kind of just runs away, and I was just kind of like learning to be still within myself again, and
Mm,
not needing so much outside approval to step forward in my own power, my own light. So that came up a little bit. And yeah, a little bit of just like still going through that doubt of, can I do this? Can I claim this authority? So that came up. And yeah, and I did mention that a little bit in my chapter of that, the inner child work that came through. And yeah, so I can't really remember what else. It's been a few weeks since I've had it, so a couple weeks. Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing your vulnerability too with that because that's very personal and it's so beautiful that you are able to open up like a flower and say, "Hey ladies, this is something that many are going through and we need to support and uplift each other and say this is absolutely okay, but now let's get to work, and own your power." I absolutely relate to what you
I definitely feel that
experience.
she gave me a couple tools. Like she gave me a proclamation,
Hmm.
like a 30-day type of thing, like for clearing narcissists as
Yeah.
well, because I've attracted that in my history. And I've actually cleared that mostly before the session because I know by the relationships that I've built in the last couple of years that they've gotten better. See, I base my spiritual advancement based off of my interactions with others
Mm,
and who I meet. And the more I interact and the more peaceful my experiences are, the more I know I'm elevating my life. And so, but I definitely feel like I'm able, since the session, I'm able to, um, like, what's mine and what is not mine. And I think I even put a chapter called What is Mine and What's Not Mine,
I love it.
because I think that's important. That's one thing I got from the session and reminded myself is that a lot of the times things that I'm feeling or that I'm going through, they're not always mine, and
Right.
that I can, move them out. And like you said, opening up like a flower, we brought in
Mhm.
the roses, the rose ray came in and I was gifted the blooming of the rose. I mean, I think that's a modality that Roddy was using, but it
Mhm.
was also very relevant to the connection with Sophia because the roses are a big part of that. But being able to bloom
Mhm.
and like that flower, it's really what I want to do. That's just my goal here is like to really fully bloom into what Alanna, the embodiment of Sophia as Alanna, came here to do.
Well, you're doing it. I can tell you are on fast track.
I mean, either that or I'm just a really good talker. We'll find out in a year or two what
Oh,
happened.
well. Oh, I love it. I love your honesty too. Sometimes when people share, about themselves, they have a hard time just letting it out. And the authenticity behind what you're saying is so refreshing. And so thank you for, you
Thank you.
know, sharing yourself. It's really
That's the beauty of
beautiful.
sharing your truth is that the more
Hmm.
you share, the less can be held against you. Like
Mm,
once you tell your truth and your story, and no one can use anything against me.
right.
At this point, I'm like, I don't care what you saw in my past, whatever. I'm not her anymore.
True.
It's like I can redeem myself. I'm sorry. No one's perfect. Not
Absolutely.
even no one is. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some perfect people, but you always look at someone and you think they're like, well, they're so beautiful and amazing, but then you never know. Like Britney Spears, you
I
see what she's
know.
going through right now. So I mean, it's like you just never know what someone's going through.
Hmm.
And the one thing that Kaya Raw, the writer of the Sophia Code,
Hmm.
she she did a seminar one time, and I remember she said that the beautiful thing about this work is the more you are seen, the more you are safe.
Mm,
It's time. It's
yeah.
time to be seen. It's
Yeah.
time to be heard. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so here
Thank
I
you for
am.
that. So being seen as a pillar of light, what inspired you to want to partake and be a part of the Pillar of Light goddess activations?
Well, Rada, Rada has always been an uplifter for me. Like she's always seen me,
Mm,
and she's always invited me to be a part of whatever she's working on. We've collaborated. I've been on her Galactic Goddess podcast, and we are working on stuff with that now. And like we created deprogrammed, and she asked me to be a part of Awakening Star Seeds, and I did write a chapter for that. And then there's so much going on that I just wasn't able to meet that deadline, and the timing didn't work out. And then when she came back and said, you know what, sister, like I have this going on, and I really want you to be a part of it. Like I think you'd be perfect. And something just felt right. It felt like, this is it. This is the time we've been waiting for. Something that, you know, you can start writing this, because she's been saying, Alanna, you're going to write. Even in my session, she said, I see you writing multiple books. And
mm,
this is not the first time I've heard it. I've had like Dr. Sarah Larson, the medical intuitive, tell me that she saw it. And the first time she met me, and she's one of my very good friends now, she's always told me, your writing's going to set you free. Like, write.
aw,
And I feel like I procrastinate, but there's a reason why I couldn't, it wasn't time. And I needed that collaboration to be able to step into that. And now I feel like I can really keep off that momentum.
Yeah.
So I needed that collaboration. I work really well with that. And I'm thinking, why not? Yes. The movie Yes Man came to my mind. I'm like, yes, 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 I'm going to do this. And now I can take this chapter and continue it on with my own thing, so, which I probably will. Yeah.
I love it. Oh, I'm so excited for you because when I read your chapter, I was like, holy smokes, that was
Yeah.
so amazing. Like I literally just, yeah, it was beautiful. I instantly just knew that you were gonna, I could see you writing a lot more.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't easy, it was not hard, but it was not easy to just, because I'm like, should I share that? Is that too much? I mean, but I'm like, wow, do you see people see what's happening right now?
Yeah.
You can't deny what's going on. You can't deny that there's like a true spiritual awakening happening. Like I know so many amazing magical people, and I've seen some crazy, incredible, like mystical things.
Yeah.
And I feel like my life is enchanted, and then to deny that is like to deny God, to deny that there's a divine plan for us. People talk about God and that they're godly people, but then we deny the mystic behind it. We
Right.
deny the magic. I think that Disney has really done us a number because they sell us the magical stuff, but we think we believe in it when we go to Disneyland, but we're not embodying that the
Right.
same way. So I'm saying that generally speaking, not there's many people who do, but I'm just saying that the way the world is, it's definitely clear to see that I even start my chapter that way. Does humanity truly feel the hand of the mother? Because she's here. And,
Yeah.
we've had the Father. The Father's here. He's not going anywhere. And it is a Trinity. It's one.
Mm. Mm.
It's one thing. And that's it just mind boggles me that we even allowed the feminine to be repressed. It's like there's something there, there's something there, and it has a lot to do with the fact that there's been persecution in other generations, and we're clearing that out, and it's time to be seen and heard. And so yeah, whatever I can do to help keep that divine spark going, the miracle flowing, that's what I want to do.
Thank you for doing that. I'm really excited for them to read your chapter and
And I look forward
future.
to reading yours as well, because you are also an author.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do doubt. I have my doubts too. Those are things I'm overcoming as well. That's why I really when you mentioned that I connected, I thought, wow, that's interesting how she's expressing it in a way that I've felt but haven't had the words to use, like articulate. And then also, I don't think I've ever acknowledged out loud. It's just what I feel and then it's a
Yeah,
story
because
we tell
you're
ourselves.
hiding
Yeah,
your true
hiding.
self because you
Yeah.
probably have been persecuted in other lives. Like
Oh,
it's
I'm sure.
probably,
Yeah.
and even or in your dream state or whatever. There's still
Mm.
something that kind of like finds us, but the moment where like our light is so freaking bright, like the flies start coming, but then it's so bright it kills them. You can't, it's like
Yeah.
buzz off.
Yeah, that's all.
So yeah, the crazy thing is that I was there once in your shoes too, where
Mm.
you know, Kaya Raw from Sophia Code, John Lam Lash, Valentinian, like these people, Tumberg, I think his last name is, um, these authors also paved the way for me, Carl Jung, they paved the way for me to learn these things. And when they spoke, I lit up, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was like, well, there's something here. That's why it's called gnosis. It's
Mm.
a deep inner knowing that that's why no one can take it from you, or they could try to take it from you, but like
Right.
the idea is that to remember who you are, because we
Mm.
are remembering a member of something, right?
Right.
It's all in the words, because words, they create worlds and all that good stuff. But
And
yeah, yeah.
I love that you do the work, which is a perfect example because this, magic is we are magic, but then there's also getting down into, getting your hands dirty, like not literally, but like obviously you got to put in the time and the effort and the research and think
And
for
claim it.
yourself and claim it. So,
Claim that divinity, claim it. I think that I had a hard time also claiming it because of these authors were like so amazing. And I'm like, well, they already did it and they know it. Like, and I'm just reciting what I've learned from them. But honestly,
mm,
that's what we all do. Even all these authors, we get divine inspiration, but we all learn from the next person,
mhm,
all learn from our teachers, and that's okay. I think we're also caught up in copywriting things and trademarking things that we just forget to share what's necessary. Like
right,
that's what the Illuminati just did wrong. They think they're so special, and these families, whatever, and then they don't share the wealth, and they don't share the knowledge that would really do the greatest things for the world.
right. Yeah. Mm. Well, I'm excited. So could you let the viewers know what it was like working with Rada Publications? Because I know that you're friends with Rada, but obviously in a professional manner, and how you've
Yeah.
come to be a writer. What was the experience like for you?
I really love the support,
Mm,
the encouragement, and maybe she gave me a little extra because she is my friend, but she does really, she sends out emails and just like wants to make sure that everyone's like feeling inspired.
mhm,
And, just remember that she's working with you for a reason. Like if you're an
mhm,
author, she's chose you. She wants to work with you because she wants you to share your story. And I see Rada being, growing as a publishing house.
mhm.
And, me and her both love Louise Hay. And I think that she is a good example of what I think that Rada has the ability to accomplish. And when I do publish more books, I do hope that I'm with her company. So if that doesn't tell you my answer, hopefully, yeah, I think she's great, and that I just look forward to seeing what else she's going to create with that.
I believe you will be with her, and I believe you're going to have many books.
I hope.
The wise wisdom that comes from your mouth, and then the clarity. Like again, I just feel like maybe like when you write, do you channel when you write?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
My main form of channeling is an odd thing, but it's more light language.
did you say light language?
It's light language, yes.
Okay.
So and sometimes, but for this, I guess it's channeling. Yeah,
Well,
I would say that it is.
well, I'm excited to have everybody read your chapter, and I think that you have a lot to bring to this world that we're excited to hear and see and be a part of. Thank you so much for just stepping forward and, you know, speaking your truth. So we appreciate you. I'm
Thank you,
going to go
Danielle.
ahead and link this links below. Sorry, and we'll make sure to have everybody get in contact with you. Um, and I appreciate your time, and I hope you
Yeah.
have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to reach out, feel free to reach out. Yeah, my info will be provided, and just happy to be of service.
Wonderful. Well,
Thank you,
thank you
Danielle.
again.
You did great interviewing me, and I look forward to reading your chapter as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Bye.